Right, it's a fitness edition today, and we're going to be looking at your everyday life and utilizing what's known as functional training. It's become a real popular buzzword in the fitness industry. Think about it. You are performing a wide range of activities every single day. Walking, jogging, pushing, bending, twisting, and more. And all of these activities involve motions, smooth, rhythmic motions. And apparently they work along three cardinal planes. We're going to learn more about that. And in many respects, this idea of functional strength training is more than that. It's really about improving your daily life rather than just health and fitness. And it can even help alleviate with some of the certain pains and problems you might be having with joints and joint strength. We're going to talk about the benefits and the application of functional strength training on today's edition of Body and Soul, your fitness edition. Nelson Chong joins us. He's the certified fitness trainer we've invited into the program and the founder of the Functional Training Institute. If you have any questions and you want advice from Nelson about particular exercises or routines or functional routines that you can adopt for yourself to deal with your pains and aches as well, why don't you call us? 669-11938 is our studio hotline, 669-11938. Nelson, welcome into the program. Thank you for joining us today. I first met Nelson at an event that I was hosting, and you had your team there, and everybody had these wonderful equipment, and they were doing some of the stuff right there. I was really impressed because until you see functional training, maybe you don't exactly know what it's about. But some of the things that your guys were doing, I tried out one of them. I realized I couldn't do it. Right. It's a lot harder than it looks, but there's so many benefits to it. What exactly is, Nelson, the idea of functional training, first of all?
Okay, functional training is an art. It's an art of movement, movement for a purpose. Example, I would like to illustrate like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, who is the legendary Kung Fu master, he's the founder of mixed martial art. So he studied like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Thai boxing. He find the fastest and most effective way to knock down an opponent. Yep. So similarly to functional training, we analyze what is wrong with the body right from the way you stand, the way you walk, before you even start to run. So to study the movement of the body, analyzing where is the underlying problem right from the start. Maybe you have knock knees, you have flat foot, your pelvic is misaligned, or your body is a rounded shoulder. So the minute you start to exercise, it will just keep accumulating more and more stress. Hence, you will have more adverse effect when you start to exercise and accumulate more stress sooner.
Right.
So functional training actually identify where is your problem of your movement, thereby finding the fastest and most effective exercise technique to switch on the weak muscle to hold the entire structure of the body. Hence, you can exercise safely and effectively at the same time.
Why do these weaknesses happen in the first place? Is it because it's built up over years and years of your life?
Yes, sadly speaking, because of the modern world, which every one of us now use computer, we drive, we hardly walk, there's escalator everywhere. So we no longer hunt for food like those dinosaurs rule the earth. So we become more sedentary. We tend to hunch more forward by overusing our chest and shoulder muscles. We read, we drive, everything is forward. So our back muscle become weaker. So when the top of the body start to change, the center of gravity changes, hence you have tight lower back. And people like to wear heels. So this changes the whole biomechanics and posture of the body.
Quite different from what the body is literally designed for.
Yes, correct.
Right, and when we challenge it, and when we do challenge our body in these different ways, in the future, in the long term, that's when we start seeing things like pains and aches and muscle problems arise.
Yes, and also most people who exercise, they tend to do what they like rather than what is right for the body.
Sure.
Typically, example, a person with a round shoulder, with hunchback, a typical man will go to the gym and hit right to the chest machine because they want to make their chest look better. But that actually causes more problem to the posture, to eventually lead to shoulder pain and neck pain, which make them it doesn't look nice, it looks very awkward after all.
Yep, exactly. We're going to talk about some of the specifics of functional training, but before we go into the exercises itself, tell me, is this something for everybody? Is there somebody who's best suited for functional training?
Yes, functional training is suitable for people of all ages, as young as my own son who started functional training at 4 years old, to our older student who's currently still training with us at 86 years old. I give you an example. Like my son started functional training bouncing the big stability ball because I trained his psychomotor skill. Today he's a table tennis school captain, doing very well, and because I start early. Another good example will be my oldest student, 86-year-old, Madam Tay, who has both knee replaced, and she walks very slowly. She's very clumsy. She can't squat. The knee always in pain. She keeps falling down at home, and visit her neurosurgeon quite regularly for review, until her daughter brought her to us, who has seen good result. And just training with us just once a week, and 2 months later, she can squat fully without any more knee pain. She can walk forward, she can walk backwards, she can walk sideways, she can even bounce the ball when walking, which even some adults have challenged, no ball sense. And now she lives pain-free, and she hardly fall at home at 86 years old after functional training.
So is the idea about muscle strengthening, or is it about this idea of movement continuum?
Okay, it's about actually triggering your central nervous system, connecting your mind to your body. Because once you lose that, you become very clumsy when any situation arises. You just don't know how to react according to the circumstances. It can be an old lady, it can be a sports athlete who play a lot of anaerobic activities, like a soccer player, like a basketball player. If they lose the control over the body, they tend to injure much faster. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, when you think about it, that connection is vital because it's how your body reacts. And if we haven't trained it, if we don't challenge and recruit the central nervous system in that way, then we lose the ability in the long run. I see. That's fascinating. 669-11938. If you have any calls and questions, Nelson Chong is our guest today, a certified fitness trainer and founder of the Functional Training Institute. Nelson, let's talk about the exercises themselves right now. Is this pretty much very similar to what we see in gyms, people running on treadmills, lifting weights, things like that?
Okay, it's very different. I like to pick into cardio and strength training versus functional training. Example, when you are running on a treadmill, that is cardio. Cycling on a bike or doing a rower machine, those are all cardiovascular exercise.
Right.
Or even rollerblading. But you realize that you're only going forward all the time. There's no lateral movement, there's no backward movement. But when you go to sports, basketball, soccer, or other similar sports, there is a lot of dimension of movement or planes of movement. So you can't expect running on a treadmill will improve your basketball game. Yeah, you will get a stronger and fitter heart in terms of cardiovascular fitness, but it doesn't improve your game, full stop, period.
Yeah.
So that is for cardio. In functional training, because we move in 3 planes and more muscle groups are recruited, hence your heart rate go up much faster, you burn more calories within the same hour, and you trigger your central nervous system. So you become more mentally and physically stimulated all the time. And in terms of resistance training compared to functional training, imagine yourself watching a 2D and 3D movie. Yeah, in a 3D movie, you see the picture become alive right to your face. Same thing when you do functional training, your body become alive. Example, when you go to a gym, sitting on a machine, moving your legs or your arms alone itself, you're moving in either 1D or 2D with one plane or 2 planes. Mentally, you're not challenged. Your core might be switched off by just moving your arm to work on your chest or your back, or maybe your buttocks, but the rest of the body is integrated. They are not connected. But when you do functional training, most of the time you're standing, you're moving sideways, you're moving forward, or you're bouncing up and down with your arms and your legs at the same time. There are a lot of hand-eye coordination. So that is the difference.
Oh, fantastic. I want to know more about the exact exercise right now, but we've got a question standing by at 669-11938, our studio hotline. Miss Chan joins us right now. Miss Chan, hello?
Hello.
Hi, thanks for joining us. Do you have a question for Nelson?
Yes, I just want to find out, your 2 knees, total knee replacement, can squat?
Oh, that's after her training, the example that Nelson was just talking about. Well, is she able to get over after her knee replacement problems, Nelson?
Yes, she was able to squat and still squatting now fully and no more pain, and she can do a lot of things. Yeah.
We were talking before the show started. You said that a lot of people that come to you are people who have had injuries in the past as well. This is something that holds people back from working out sometimes because they had injury, there's pain, and they don't want to work out. But this is something that they're assessed and suited for.
Yes, the sad thing is when most people are in pain, they will try to go into a self-preservation mode or self-pity mode to try to walk less, do less, and it's self-destructing because the muscle just atrophy, your bone density start to drop, everything just collapse. But in fact, when you find the right way and the safe way to trigger the weak muscle to wake up, to hold the joint in the body, like from the ankle to the knee, to the hip, to the spine, which is your core, and even your shoulders, eventually your whole body integrate together and they just function together to support the weaker joint. Yeah, your meniscus might worn out. You might have your knee replacement, but the muscles are still alive. They are not dead. You need to train them to talk to your body to support the joint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Miss Chan, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes. Then thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to take more calls and questions just ahead as we come back with part 2 on 938 Live. We're chatting today with Nelson Chung, who's a certified fitness trainer and the founder of the Functional Training Institute. Coming up, we're going to talk about what exactly these functional training exercises are. How do you work in this three-dimensional plane that you heard Nelson describing? Is it just about certain specific movements, or are there really challenging and dynamic motions that the body can be pushed through? Find out as well about the benefits and what you're going to see from functional training just ahead. I'm Daniel Martin. Stay with us on 938 Live. Welcome back into Body and Soul right here on 938 Live. I'm having a great discussion today with Nelson Chung, certified fitness trainer and founder of the Functional Training Institute, learning all about the benefits of functional training. This is not just about what you think is a gym routine or a gym workout. It's quite different. It's not what you have conceptions about at all. It's about working on the different planes of movement and helping your body really improve its real-life activities. We've heard about the different planes of movement and how there's a movement continuum that we're working on, and how functional training will challenge your body and even recruit the central nervous system to help you do your daily activities. We're going to find out more in this edition. How does it target the very active individual or people recovering from injuries and problems? Also, what can you do on your own at home to actually, deal with certain things like a sprained ankle or tight chest or shoulder or back pain muscles that usually are brought on by the sedentary lifestyle that we're living in the office and at home. We're going to start off, of course, right now with Nelson. If you have any calls and questions, now's the time to call in. 669-11938. Call in early or you won't have time to get your questions through. Nelson, for the benefit of people who might have just joined us, how would you summarize functional training once again?
Functional training basically, like I say, is art of moving the body and moving the body in 3 different planes. Be just using your body weight or using any equipment to allow your body to become alive, because you wake up every part of the muscle to integrate the body to perform an action. Yeah.
Right. We were talking as well during the break about, is there anything somebody listening in the office or at home right now can do to just figure out, hey, a lot of us think we're okay. We're quite fit, no problem, but we'd be surprised actually. Are there things that people can do to test their functional mobility, let's say?
Yes, one good example will be standing on one leg. It can be barefoot or with the shoes. While lifting the other leg, you try to lean forward by bending your hips and your knee. We call it a deadlift, to see whether you can maintain balance on one leg for maybe just a few repetitions. And when you compare to the other leg, you see whether the other leg can balance as stable as the first leg.
And usually what happens, I bet a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that.
Usually most people can't, because they lose control over certain part of the muscle. It can be your glutes, which is your buttocks, your hamstring, your core is weak, it cannot stabilize the spine. It can be you lose your ankle mobility or even the stability on the knee. So every part of a joint, they have to learn to work and integrate together to support the core function. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Okay, so it's a dead bend, so you lift one leg backwards all the way,
yes,
bend at the knee, and bend forward at your hip and your waist.
Yes, imagine yourself like a teapot.
Okay, yeah.
Pouring out tea. Yeah. So you are simulating a teapot action with your hip as the pivot.
I wonder. Okay, I'm going to try that after the interview. Not right now, though. We're also going to take some calls and questions right now. Mrs. Chan joins us at 669-11938. If you have any questions, join us right now. Nelson's taking our calls. Mrs. Chan, I beg your pardon. Hi, you have a question for Nelson?
Yeah, Nelson, I sprained my wrist, and the pain radiates up to my elbow.
Yep.
I've seen the doctor. The doctor said, don't use it. Don't move your wrist. It's quite impossible not to move my right hand, you see. So what sort of exercise can I do to, speed up the recovery?
Thank you, Mrs. Chan. Sprained wrists, sprained ankles, I'm sure these come up a lot. Nelson?
Okay, when you sprain any part of your body, once the swelling or the pain has minimized after resting or icing or any treatment, it's always good to start to stretch it, because once you sprain your joint, it becomes very stiff. And if you don't do anything about it after a prolonged time, it becomes even stiffer, frozen. So the first thing you do is to stretch it to try to regain the mobility of your joint. And thereafter, you have to start to do exercise to mobilize it. As for the wrist, there is this metal ball thing, I can't remember. It's for the wrist exercise. I can give you the information later. Maybe I go back and get it.
Is it one ball that you just grip?
Yes, you grip, and when you rotate it, the weight itself will start to guide your wrist to move in a circular manner to improve blood flow to your wrist.
Right.
So that will actually help you to regain the mobility of the wrist joint.
What happens if you feel pain when she's trying to do this?
You will initially feel a bit of discomfort because the joints start to learn how to move again.
Yeah.
But that pain shouldn't be accumulative. Unless an exercise after doing it, you feel that the pain become worse, obviously that exercise is not suitable. But usually during the exercise, when you do a certain movement again, you'll feel uncomfortable because the joint has not been mobilized for a while. So slight discomfort, as long as it's bearable, it's okay.
So it's important for her to work with the doctor first, let the period of recovery happen,
yes,
and after that, try and do certain exercises like the stretches or with the metal ball, and this will hopefully prevent it from happening again. That's the most important thing.
Yes, correct. You need to learn how to regain mobility again. If not, the joint and the muscle just become worse.
Yeah. Send me those details. I'll put it on my Facebook page. Sounds good. Let's go to more calls and questions coming in. Mr. Chin has one for us. Mr. Chin, hello.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air. What's your question?
Yes, my mom has arthritis, and I'd like to find out how can she improve her movement for her knees.
Now, that's a good question. Arthritis. Just yesterday, we were talking about knee osteoarthritis as well. What would you recommend to that, Nelson?
Yes, it's interesting. I have a student with me, which is 40 plus years old. He's a basketball player who played basketball twice a week, and one day his knee got very painful. He can't squat, he can't play basketball anymore. So he visited the doctor. Said the doctor said that he has rheumatoid arthritis. He was very depressed. And
40-something years old.
Yes, 40-something. So he came and see me. I told him I can help you to wake up those sleeping muscles that you didn't train properly. Even though he was active, but I realized he has flat foot, which causes the knee to roll, an example. And his buttock muscles were weak. His core was weak. So the training itself will be focusing on strengthening all those weak muscles to make them alive. So every time you squat, you bend, you walk or run again, that muscle will be able to support your joint better. Yeah, your knee might be already old and aging, or your meniscus might be worn out, but the muscles are always there waiting for you to turn them alive to support the joint, which most people didn't realize.
So what kind of exercises can we do to turn the joints?
All the stability exercise in different plane can be a downward plane and a side plane. So the best way is for the person to come down. We can actually assess and identify where are the weak areas and what are the muscles that is stiffened up, that need to be released first before we can switch on the weaker muscle.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so I mean it has to be personalized and individualized first of all sometimes.
Yes, because everybody has different muscle group that have been overused over their certain habit. Because some people might have just one foot is flat, the other is a normal arch. So that has different tightness compared to a person with no flat foot.
So Nelson, describe to us some of the exercises that take place. I've seen you guys using things like balance boards, stability balls, kettlebells. How does this work?
By using an unstable surface like the Bosu, which is a balance board, it actually triggers a lot of sensation to your brain to turn on the central nervous system to wake up the muscles around the joint, like your ankle, your knee, your hip, and eventually your core, which stabilizes the spine.
Let's describe this to our listeners. It's like a little plank that you stand on. Yes. It's got a raised part in the center, and it's unstable. So you're trying to stand on it and keep it stable without tipping over too much.
Yes, correct. By maintaining every part of the joint in neutral alignment. Neutral alignment means your pelvic is stable, it's not crooked, and when you can perform that action in a stable environment, then we start to evolve into more dynamic environment to simulate your action in sports or in your running routine and other things like that.
Okay. Yeah. You mentioned stability balls as well.
Yes, stability ball is a good tool to work on every part of the body in terms of keeping your the spine healthy in terms of mobility of your spine. And also trigger any part of your body like your core, your chest or your arms or even your legs, which which will give you a lot of benefit, even cardiovascular as well.
Sometimes you're sitting on it, bouncing. Sometimes you're doing push-ups or sit-ups on it. You said your son can even stand on it.
Yes, yeah. Surprisingly, there are a lot of students that came to see us initially. They can't even walk or squat properly.
Yeah.
But after training functionally, not even they can squat and walk or even run normally now. They can even start to kneel on the ball, balance, and even stand on the ball. Like you see them like a circus performer, but they are not. It's just that their whole body has been integrated so well and connected that they can do anything, and the whole body just become alive.
Yeah. It sounds like there's a lot of physiotherapy incorporated into some of these works. It's very similar to me.
Yes, but it's a little bit different in a way because we work on more parts of the body rather than a physio who just focus on your current problem. Once we fix your problem, we actually unleash other hidden potential in the body that you didn't realize. Example, I have many students who come and see me. They always tell me, "Oh, Nelson, don't ask me to bounce the ball. My teacher has been telling me over the years I have never had good ball sense." So they just ingrain into their brain that, "Oh, I can never bounce the ball." But after training them with just a short while, they can bounce the ball in any direction and even throwing the ball and catching them back in a very fast speed. Their spirituality become more, their self-esteem increases and they feel so accomplished, they feel so more purposeful and useful in life, and they want to pick up new things, rock climbing, playing sports. They just will try more things once the body become alive.
Wow, it's like finding an old friend somehow.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
My goodness, simple thing like bouncing a ball. I realized that I don't have the good ball sense either. I've tried the balance plane. I'll share with my listeners. I couldn't do that. Just made simple things that you think you should be able to do. You'll be shocked sometimes that you can't. Catherine's got a question for us. Hi, Catherine.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Catherine.
Hi.
Yeah, my question is, what are some of the 3 brain exercises they can do at home, say while watching television or on hearing radio programs?
Sounds good. I like that you added hearing radio programs, Catherine.
Yes.
Let's talk about things you can do at home simply, Nelson.
Okay, I'll share a tip that most people will have this problem, which example sprained ankle, especially women who wear heels all the time, or even sports athletes who do a lot of movement, lateral movement.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Jenny called in and she wanted to know how to relieve heel pain as well.
Yep. Whenever your ankle injured, of course you will sprain and swell and it start to lose the mobility of the ankle. So once the swelling subsides and the pain has diminished, same thing, the first thing is to stretch your ankle. So after stretching the ankle to regain the flexibility, you have to work on strengthening the ankle and giving it the mobility that it requires to prevent it from spraining again. So what you can do, as simple as just taking an old hardcover book or a stack, if you have a flight of stairs, just stand half of the foot on the book itself or even a flight of stairs.
So like your heel on the floor?
No, just half of the foot.
Okay.
Your half of the entire foot on the step, example, and the other half just hanging out. Without holding on to anything, try just doing a tiptoe, like a ballerina tiptoe. And you try to do that at least 10 repetitions. You'll feel that your ankle, your calf, your arch of the feet will start to turn on and become alive. And it's even better than using machine, for sure. And over my years of training, because of this simple exercise, I've trained the student to able to break the pattern of spraining the ankle again because of triggering the central nervous system right to how to stabilize the ankle when they need it.
It's almost like a calf raise, half standing on a step.
Correct, yeah.
Simple thing that we can try as well. How about a tight chest? You said a lot of us, we're stuck at the table, at the desk, we're working, we're hunched over. Can we do something for that?
Yes, actually, if a person willing to make some constant habit change, like example, every time you get out from your chair to the toilet or to get a drink or whatever, you just need to go close to a wall and put your arm against the wall and do a chest and shoulder stretch. That will actually help you to prevent having round shoulders, which we tend to have it. You can see anyone around you, most of them are hunching forward. So if they change the habit of stretching regularly each time they get out from the chair, that will do a lot of wonders actually.
So grab the wall, stretch in the opposite directions, try and go through the range of movement as well.
Yes, correct.
Every time you get, hopefully.
Every time you get up.
Sounds good. I'm going to take in one last question. Michelle, you've got the last minute. What's your question?
Hi.
Hi, what's your question for Nelson?
I'd like to ask my daughter has got flat foot I don't know why she can't do standing broad jump. Is there any way that we can train her to do that?
There's unfortunate physical fitness tests. We're very short on time, Nelson. Any quick advice for her?
Yes, definitely we can. Of course, people with flat foot, they need to have special shoes, and we do recommend students to wear some specific shoe model that you can get in the market, like Isis Gel Kayano, designed for supporting the arch before you can even learn how to jump or run to absorb the impact. Because when you have flat foot, you have no longer the arch to act as shock absorbers when you land. Hence, they will feel very painful on the heels and knee, or even to the hip, to the spine.
So give the support with the shoes first. Would you do some exercises while wearing the shoes?
Yes, definitely. Then we will do some stability exercise and strength training exercise to wake up the buttocks, the thighs, and the core, so that they can help her to propel and absorb the impact when she lands.
Sounds good. I'm sorry we couldn't get to more of your closing questions. Nelson, thank you for your time today. Our guest on the program, Nelson Chong, certified fitness trainer and founder of the Functional Training Institute. Details of them can be found at the website www.fti-lwz.com. It's located at Queen Street. I'll say that again. It's fti-lwz.com. Thanks for joining us on Body and Soul.